Exploring the future dynamics of the world's 8 billion people by the year 2030 begs the question, which of the current top 10 most populous countries are set to undergo significant changes and possibly fall out of the top 10 forever? Let's delve into the data to uncover the countries experiencing population decline and those on the ascent, and unravel the underlying reasons behind the movers and shakers. Starting at number 10, we have Russia, anticipated to have a population of 140 million by 2030. Despite slipping from its 2024 position of 9th, Russia's demographic landscape unfolds as a captivating narrative. With a populace of around 144.4 million in 2024, there has been a subtle decline from the 147 million recorded in 2000. This downturn is influenced by factors such as low birth rates, elevated death rates, and a notable emigration trend. If we move ahead 6 years, Russia is expected to maintain a population of 140 million and firmly securing its position among the nations with the most people in 2030. Back in 1973, when the world's population was estimated at 4 billion, about half of today's figure, Russia sat as the fourth most populous country with 132 million residents. This reflects an increase of just 6% over almost 60 years, showcasing the most significant view of Europe's declining populations, as it remains the sole entrant in the top 10. Moving on to number 9, we find Ethiopia, with an anticipated 2030 population of 149 million. Characterized by a high fertility rate, Ethiopia is undergoing a remarkable population growth rate of 2.4% per annum. Currently standing at 126.5 million, the population is projected to surge by 2030, surpassing Russia and displacing Mexico from the top 10. This surge is primarily attributed to a high fertility rate of 4%, a substantial birth rate of 30.1, and a youthful median age of 18. For those new to our channel, the birth rate is the number of live births per 1,000 people in a given population within a specific time frame, usually per year. The fertility rate is a measure indicating the average number of children a mother is expected to have in her lifetime. Typically expressed per woman of childbearing age, 15 to 49 years old, it provides insight into the potential for population growth. A fertility rate of 2.1 is considered the replacement level, where each mother contributes enough children to replace herself and her partner. Taking the 8th spot is Bangladesh, anticipating a population of 184 million by 2030. With a growth rate hovering at approximately 1.3%, the current population of 172 million is set to ascend to 202 million by 2050, solidifying its position as the world's 8th most populous country. The growth trajectory is primarily propelled by natural population increase. Despite a fertility rate of just 1.9, the birth rate of 17.5 in 2024 is sufficient to maintain its 8th position for the next 6 years. Moving to the 7th position, we find Brazil, whose population is expected to reach 223.9 million by 2030. As the South American giant, Brazil presently boasts a population of 216 million in 2024. With a growth rate ticking at around 0.5%, the nation is projected to reach an estimated 233 million by 2050. Noteworthy statistics include a birth rate of 13.4 per thousand and a death rate of 6.9. There's a potential challenge for Brazil to maintain its top 10 status in the face of emerging African populations expected to boom by the end of the century. Transitioning to the 6th country on the list, we encounter Nigeria, the largest of the African populations, with an anticipated population of 260.5 million by 2030. Ranked 8th in global fertility, Nigeria sustains an average fertility rate of 5.1 children per woman and a birth rate of 34. Down from 38.8 in 2014. With a current population of 223 million, the nation experiences rapid growth, fueled by a mere 18% contraceptive prevalence among women aged 15 to 49. The country's death rate has dropped from a high of 17.8 at the start of the century to the current 10.8, contributing to an annual population growth rate of 2.5%. By the end of this century, 1 in 4 people is expected to be African, with a surge of 212% anticipated after 2050, with Nigeria likely leading the way. Entering the top 5, we find Pakistan, whose population is expected to hit 274 million by 2030. As the world's 5th most populated country, Pakistan is poised to retain its ranking through 2030 and 2050. The population, reaching around 240.5 million in 2024, indicates a 2% increase from the previous year. This consistent surge is attributable to high birth rates of 26.0, a fertility rate of 3.3, and a relatively youthful population with a median age of just 21. Claiming the fourth spot is Indonesia, with an anticipated population of 292 million by 2030. In 2024, Indonesia's population reached 277.5 million, marking a measured uptick of 0.74% from the previous year. A comparison with the 2010 figure of 244 million suggests an expected rise to 322 million by 2050, indicating a substantial increase of 78 million over 4 decades. However, with a fertility rate of 2.1 and a birth rate of 15.1, its position after 2030 appears precarious, as both Pakistan and Nigeria seem poised to leapfrog it. The global population landscape by the end of the century promises to be an exciting watch, possibly a topic for a future video on this channel. Moving on to the top 3, we start with the United States, anticipating a population of 359 million by 2030. Experiencing steady, albeit slower growth, the US is projected to reach 390 million by 2050 from a population of 309 million in 2010. With a modest fertility rate of 1.7 and a decline in birth rates to the current 12.2, the US is aging, with projections indicating that by 2030 there will be almost as many older individuals as younger ones. The population is set to hit 390 million by 2050, representing a 136% increase in the century since 1950. Retaining the second position is China. Forecasts indicate a population of 1.4 billion in 2030 and 1.3 billion by 2050. A consequence of enduring policies such as the one-child policy, resulting in an aging population with diminished fertility rates and birth rates. Finally, reigning at number 1 is India, with an anticipated population of 1.5 billion by 2030. Despite a slower growth rate, India's demographic narrative unfolds with continued growth, reaching over 1.43 billion in 2024. Even though the birth rate has dropped by 18% between 2014 and 2024 to 16.5, and the fertility rate hovers just below the replacement level at 2, the sheer magnitude of India's population ensures its status as the world's most populous nation until at least the next century. This list, based on projections by the UN Population Division, highlights dynamic changes in demographics. As we look ahead to the future, the potential shifts in this list invite speculation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, consider liking the channel. Feel free to explore more videos while you wait for the next upload. Otherwise, thanks for watching.